Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, and a brand new build today. Something a little different for me because I can be guilty of being the one and done guy in some areas, and in other builds I can build 5 or 6 of something and just enjoy it, because every time I build it I learn more about my own building skills and I gather more tips and tricks along the way. I'm sure all of you are the same way. But there was one build that I did several years ago that I just wasn't happy with, and I kind of gave up on it, I'm embarrassed to say, and I want to go back and revisit it, and I want to do it correctly. You know, sometimes you get a hankering to do that, and this is one of those instances where I want to set the record straight. Now my skill level is progressed. I think I can do a better job. So let me show you what that is. It is this. Remember this from Roger Moore's Spy Who Loved Me. This was the top secret Lotus Esprit S1, otherwise known as codenamed Wet Nelly or Little Wet Nelly. I think the other Nelly was a little rotor flying machine from one of the Sean Connery Bond films. But anyway, here we go. This is it. And I always loved this car. I love the shape of this car. I'm a big fan of it. And interestingly enough, there's a few of them still around. And it's sad to see them in a tattered shape, but you know, in its day, holy cow, this was a beautiful car, although not without its problems, I hear. But I want to rebuild this, and so I picked myself up one. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 of them out there on eBay, and not terribly expensive, and then other times they just disappear and you can't find them anywhere. But I picked this one up on eBay, and it wasn't terribly expensive. So we'll unbox it in a minute and dive into the build. But I wanted to show you what you know. Look at this. This was my my first attempt, and I did this about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. I can't remember. But I've built this a couple of times, and this one in particular, I sort of liked the presentation of it. You know, I like this sort of aquarium look, and it sort of appears to be floating and on an angle, which gives you, you know, all kinds of opportunities to sort of see it. So I thought that was a really good presentation. So I was happy with that, you know, and you know, sometimes I get the base right, but I got this model completely wrong. Let me show you why. First of all, you know, I've got to point out a couple of things because that's part of the fun of it. Excuse the filth on this. I didn't get a chance to clean it. It's sort of really gotten filthy, but anyway. You'll notice here, that's not a gas cap. That's just a piece of plastic that I put over where I had lost the gas cap. It popped off, and I have no idea what I was thinking. Also, my decals, even though they went over gloss, I wasn't happy with the way they went on, and in fact some of them, like the stripes here, have actually cracked. So that is no good. Now I do like the presentation of it with the black louvers closed as if it's in its flying position, but curiously, as you can see, and this is how the kit is actually supposed to be built, you've got glass in the back, you've got glass in the front, but the side panels are not the same. The louver windows actually go on top of the panels, which I thought was kind of curious. So we're going to try and do something a little better there. In the back, you can see, let me lift this up so you can see this to camera. Look, do you see? My license plate is upside down. I mean, is this embarrassing or what? This is like a train wreck. And also, as we come around to the side here, there is a black pinstripe missing from here. Additionally, as we come around to the front, I don't know what happened, but I had some paint issues here. And I had a paint lift right here. And it took me forever to clean it up. Now, it doesn't look too bad, and you can't really see it anymore because of all the dirt. Not good. And then there, do you see this massive blob on the glass? What is that? I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to get some schmutz off of the window, and that's what I got. So, you know, just overall, not a great sort of start. So I'm here to do a mea culpa and to start again, and let's get this right. Let's really get it crisp and looking fantastic. I've got some really great black real pinstriping now that we can use instead of these awful decals. We can do an awful lot better on terms of the paint surface because I'm using these Chroma Air paints now. Now they're automotive grade paints that are urethane, but they're acrylics, and I just love them. I've showcased them in previous episodes. I'll show you what I'm doing later because you know, obviously we're going to have to get all these parts ready for paint and clean them all up. I'm going to be using the same base because I think it's a great way to present it, but I'm going to do a much better job of just building this car. So anyway, that's the that's the version that didn't make it to the display case, nor should it have, by the way. But let's dive in. We're not doing, it's not really an unboxing. I just want to sort of go through all the parts with you, but then I'm going to sort of dive in, go away and start painting, and then we'll progress through. This shouldn't be a complicated build, but you know, the devil is in the details. So let's start with the clear parts. They're good now. I haven't scratched them or taken them out of the plastic. I've learned, you know, you just, I don't know. I've really struggled with clear parts. Struggled with, over the years, you know, snipping them off and getting a crack. So I've learned how to stay away from the edge of clear plastic because, as we know, it's more brittle than the regular model plastic. Now, wondering if I can put some light in this thing. Maybe the headlights? Don't know. Don't know. Have to think about that. Let me get you overhead so you can see what's in this box. Start again. So it looks like there. So there. Anyway, clear parts that you can't see because they're too clear. You get the dashboard, 2 seats. And the sort of the interior bucket. But of course, you know, once you've put the windows on this bloody thing, once again, you see nothing. Your wheel mounts, so that the wheels are sort of, obviously they've disappeared because it's in the flying mode, and they don't give you an option, by the way, to put it in any other mode. You've got to build it as the submarine, or you're just you know, you're out of luck. You do get, curiously enough, you get here, you get the periscope. Let me get you closer. There we go. You get the periscope, which I may put up on this one, you know, chrome it up and put it up. I didn't in the last one. Why you have the wing mirror, God only knows, because, you know, you can't see it. But there you go. The body itself is pretty basic and pretty clean. So that's good. I have got some chrome parts here, and that looks like the sort of the windshield, some headlights, and perhaps the perhaps the antenna there. The bottom of the car, pretty basic. The front fender, actually this is the rear fender, because this is where the your navigation, you know, your rudders go, and your bums. You've got more parts for the rear and front bumper, and the headlight casings. We've got, believe it or not, hallelujah, two gas caps, and these are the headlight cases that go in. So they give you those. They give you your front and rear and your side louvers, but of course once your louvers are on, you don't see anything anyway. Your jet propulsion for the rear and the assembly for that. You get propellers, which did not make it onto my first attempt. You get decals. You get your license plates, front and rear. Curiously, one in yellow and one in white. Go figure. You get your stripes for your fins, and again, I think I'm going to try and do these with real pinstriping. Your interior displays, but why bother? And then your Esprit call-outs, your Lotus call-out, your front moniker and your rear moniker, and they even give you a windshield screen, which, you know, why bother? Unless you're not going to put the louvers on it, and if you're not going to put the louvers on it, why bother? It's kind of a little wacky. Okay, let's quickly look at the instructions. Very basic. Very, very basic. There's nothing complicated about this at all. And when I go back and I look at this curiously, I'm reminded that the louvers, all the louvers, go on. Well, this is interesting. So, according to this, the louvers go on the inside. Why I put mine on the outside, I do not recall. Couldn't tell you. Kind of wacky, right? But they want it on the inside. And as we progress forward, you can see that they've got louvers on the inside and louvers, yeah, on the outside. So you can see here that these are supposed to be on the outside, but the other louvers are supposed to be on the inside. And I think that's what, you know, caused me grief the first time around, because it just hurt my head. And when you look at the interestingly enough, when you look at this, it's a tiny photo, but you can see here, all the louvers are on the outside, or at least that's the way they appear. So I don't know. Interesting. I'm going to take a look at a clip from the film and report back on that, because I want to get it right this time. So anyway, here is it. This is it. The Little Wet Nelly top secret Lotus Esprit S1 from The Spy Who Loved Me. We're going to give it a build and put right the terrible wrong of the first attempt. So stick around and let's move along here. Okay, so I started sort of trying to figure out my plan of attack here, and I think I have one. But I'm going to be sort of thinking about some things as I go along, and sort of try to give you a little bit of my thought process. I've taken the old car off just so that we can use it for reference and talk about some things. Curiously, as we talked about, I went back and I actually took a look at the film, and just to confirm some things. And it would be fun to put the periscope in, and it might even be fun to have it firing one of its rockets, because I don't know, thinking about that. So that's definitely confirmed. Hard to tell, but it definitely appears as though these louver doors are all the louver doors are on the insides. But unfortunately, with this particular model, you can only do it with the front and the rear, I think. But I'm going to take a look at that and see if I can't adjust that, because I'd like everything to be on the inside. I did think for 5 seconds that I would not actually put the interior in this, because you can't see anything. But you do see hints of brown, and it might be fun to put a light in there just to sort of light it up, and maybe even have a blinky or two just to make it look like it's come alive. I don't know. I have to think about it. Whoops, I'm losing pieces as we speak. But that's it. It definitely does have the black stripe here, and you definitely can see that. So I'm good to go there. I've got some 2mm black pinstripe that I can put on here, so that's good. In the rear, you definitely don't see a lot more than what I've got here, so I think I'm okay with the way that turned out, and I'll sort of follow that line of attack here. But I do think it's worth actually building the interior, so I am going to go ahead and do that. Now, what I'm doing at the moment is I've decided to pre-assemble the wheel wells. There's no reason not to get these on. And also the other reason to get these on here is that when I go to give this a primer coat, and I'll prime this in, I think I'll prime this in gray, in a light gray, and then give it its white coats, just so that I can make sure I can see everything. If I prime it in white, I'm not going to be able to see some of the smudges and things I need to get rid of. But anyway, I've carefully lined up the sides here, and I am using, for the purpose of this, I'm using, interesting, old Squadron plastic weld. Sort of like, the other version of this is the 10X, which sadly we can't get anymore. There is another version of it on the market called this. It's called Styrene Tacket, and they have this used to be 10X. It's the same thing, it's no different than the than some of the welding glues that you use for your repairing your sprinkler pipes on your AVS system. Anyway, so I'm putting these on very gingerly, and that's working out really well, because it's actually melting the plastic together, and that's giving me a really nice seam. So I've got one more of these to do. That's this one right here, and of course making sure that everything is lined up correctly, because that's one of the other disasters, is that if you're not me get my head out the way. I apologize. If you're not lined up correctly here, you're not gonna be able to get this to hold. So I like to get that there. That's sort of where it wants to be, right there. And then, oh, of course, because I want to do it on camera, it doesn't want to behave. The others just sort of plugged it. The others just sort of plugged in there. This one's camera shy. But anyway, there you go. That goes in like that. And then what I like to do is, because you get a few minutes with this, but you know, not a few minutes, but you get a little bit of time before this sets up. So get it in the position you want it. There. That sort of clicked in. And then just capillary action will lock this in place. You know, it starts to, the second it makes contact here, it starts to melt this plastic. So you just want to be careful that you don't get your fingers on it, because I'm really capable of getting my fingers on it. We'll get that into position. And I've got a little bubble there, but just wipe it. Just wipe it. And it's sort of like sprue go. Push it, you know, no, don't be too hard on this, because you'll pop it out, and then you'll be in a world of hurt. But there you go. And so that is all good. So I'm happy with that. Interestingly enough, you can't see it. Oh, yes, you can. Maybe you can in the light here. I've got this typical, this is what happens when the pour is just bad. So I've got an issue here that I'm going to try to take out with some light buffing. I've also got an issue here on the side. I've got a little black pop mark, and I had a little pop mark here. Now they've put some kind of an interesting, like a clear coat on this, as if you were going to, you know, just build it out of the box. I don't know. So I'm going to have to rough that up before I hit it with my primer. Otherwise, I think I'm going to have some issues. So I'll take out some 800 grit, probably, paper, and just sort of lightly wet sand all of this, just to sort of take off the sheen. And then I should be good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at just getting a coat of primer on this, and I'm also going to get a coat of primer on the bottom here, this piece, and anything else that is white that is going to be exposed. This piece here obviously is part of the body frame as well, so I'll get that off and give that a coat of primer, as well as the side fins here. These are the stabilizer fins for the rear, and these are your directional rudders, these on the these. And you know, if you wanted to, you can turn them and put them in any position you want. It's kind of fun, actually, if they're in a turned position, especially if we're going to present it on an angle as the way we're going to. So, and then, you know, you could also think about some panel line washes. I did put some in here just to kind of give it a little, you know, just to kind of give it a little punch. But we'll see. But anyway, I'm a lot happier this time with the way I set these in. From the first time to the second time, I've done a much better job of making sure that everything is clean and flush. So I'm a lot happier with that. So anyway, we will continue. Okay, we're making progress. I have gotten a couple of coats of primer on the body of the Lotus. So it's in pretty good shape. I'm going to give it one more light sanding, like with about an 800, just to knock off anything that might be, sitting on top, although it feels pretty good. Everything now is going to get 3 coats of my Chroma Air paint that I've been talking about. It's a urethane acrylic. It's for cars, so but they're selling it for you to use. You can check out spraygunner.com. Check them out. You can if you like this paint, you can check it out. If it's worth it. I'm personally a big fan of it. I think it's really, really good paint, primarily because when you prep it for your airbrush, and you put a little reducer in it, and you can get reducer from them, and you really give it a good shake. Make sure it's all amalgamated perfectly. There's no gunk in it. I'm having a little bit of a difficult time lately with some of my, especially some of my Vallejo paints. You got to use a flow improver, especially here in California, where today it's in the 80s. So even though I'm in a relatively cool environment, boy, are these things drying out. You take the lid off of these suckers, and they'll dry out really quickly. So if you are painting inside in a relatively warm environment, get yourself a wet palette. They're about $5 or $6. You can get them from any big box store like a Hobby Lobby or something like that, or you can get them online. And it's just a little palette, or you can get it with some damp paper on it, and it'll hold these a little longer for you because. I'm just really, they dry out really quickly. So anyway, lots of progress. I'm ready to put a coat on everything, as I just said. I've done my cockpit, even though, look, my cockpit is all done. I've even painted the parking brake, and I put some color on the buttons, and you're not going to see one iota of it. Maybe a little glimpse of brown through it, but what you get when you build this sucker is this. This is what you get. This is what you end up with. Now, which is correct, because what we're building is this, and there's no interior. So I'm not entirely sure. It's one of those classic moments where we know we've done it, but I'm doing it properly this time. So I want to make sure that all the bells and whistles are on it, and that it's correct. So the next thing I'm going to do now is get 3 coats of white on this, and then hit it with a clear gloss urethane. So that way I'll be ready for my decals and my pinstriping, and then when that all sets and dries, I'll hit it again, and then we should be golden. Now, I'm not using the decal stripes. I have this Charter Pack graphic tape, and it's really good. And I've got it in 1/32 here. I can show it to you close up. Here it is. And it's a really good pinstripe, and it's perfect for this car. So it's going to go on and give me a super crisp line. You can see that again here. So I've got to get my pinstripe all the way along here, and it's got to be super crisp. Because I'm using a vinyl tape, I'm going to be able to get it around this this paddle where the wheel well is. I can't speak. Because as you can see in this picture, it is around the wheel well. We've got to make sure we get that just right. So that is good. I have my clear is drying now. I've got my red and orange as they are in the rear, for the rear of this car. They're clear in the front for the headlights, brake lights and indicators in the back, and that's how the Esprit was built. Curiously, while we're in this mode, great fun to point this out to you guys. Look, the the sun visors. Do you see? Here and here. I'm so grateful that they put the sun visors in the piece of plastic that actually attaches to the underneath of this, and they're completely they're completely gone. They completely disappear. So you don't even see them. You know, they don't even trust me. You know, because here's the sort of the trial one. You can see there is a kind of a spot for your wing mirror right there, but that's about it. So I don't know. Go figure. But anyway, the other bummer is the louvers. As you can see here, all the louvers on the rear and the front are under the glass. They're not on top of the glass, which is really cool. But they are on top of the glass for the sides. That's just the way it's designed. And it does appear that way on the filming prop. If I can zoom in for you, you can see you can see they do appear to be on the outside, so that is correct. And look at that little thing on the door. Do you see that? I think it's a clamp where they were attaching the pole that made it look like it could actually move. They must have had one on both sides of the car. I don't know. But great fun. So there we go. We are sort of caught up here. So let's carry on. Okay. So we're getting to the finish line here on this kit. 1/24th scale from Fujimi. So if any of you want to build the Bond car, it's actually from the movie The Spy Who Loved Me, and it was Little Wet Nelly was its code name. Don't ask me. I'm just telling you. But yeah, there it was. And so I'm thrilled to sort of to do the right thing. And, you know, I as you know, if you've been watching the whole video, I started with this, which can go in the trash now. And we've got a really excellent representation of it now. We've got, you know, a really nice paint job, 4 coats of paint on this. And it went together really quite well. A couple of things I want to point out to you if you're going to build this kit. There are some posts that come with the propellers, and I'll show you on the close up here on the here. Let's see. Let's get to where we're supposed to be. Hang on. Here it is. I think it's important to show you this. So these posts are actually too long for the pillars inside the car, right? So you're going to have to trim these back, which is fine. But it's a bit of a hassle. The other issue you're going to have is with the rear license plates, there are these 2 pins here that you can see either side. They're black loops there. Those pins don't line up with the bottom of the car, and so my advice to you is snip them off, and then you can make sure that your alignment is perfect, and it will be perfect. So that is gone together quite well. I'm not going to put the bullet launching from the back in because they didn't supply any way for you to actually install it. I suppose what you would do is attach it to a very thin piece of clear tube, just acrylic tubing if you wanted to, and you could wrap some filler or cotton around that. And you know, there's plenty of tutorials on how to spray cotton to look like it's on fire, you know, with your grays and your reds and your blacks. And it's actually a very effective use of a static model. But I'm not going to do that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install my my front bumper here. Here this is, and it's got the correct license plate now. If you remember, I hadn't done my license plates correctly, but anyway, that's all correct, and that's going to go in the front, and that will set up there. I've got my rear bumper with my fins, which sort of act as thrusters, and that will attach now to the rear here. So that's all good to go. So I'm happy with that. And then the bottom of the car, which has say goodbye to the interior, because you'll never see it again, and that is going to slip up in here like this, and that completes the car. So we are dangerously close now to being able to put on the very few decals that we do have. And then as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to pinstripe with some black graphic tape. I'm not going to try and hand paint this. I think it's just a waste of time, which is why I didn't try it on the first one. And then the last thing that goes on, bless its heart, is this little periscope. And I am going to have the periscope up on this car so that when we're all together, we can attach it to this. Isn't this fun? I got this from my local aquarium store. I'll show this to you on B. That's what it looks like. It's just a piece of cast resin, but curiously enough, and you know, I didn't realize that I was getting that lucky, but there's actually a moment in time where the car drives by an exact, I kid you not, this exact rock cropping. So it's like, okay, well, that's a gift, and I'll take that. And we'll show you. We're going to put a little pipe in here, probably clear acrylic, something like that. And then the car will get displayed in a sort of this sort of an angle, like this. You know, let me get you on the right side of the world here that we're on. This sort of an angle, something like that. And I think that's a hell of a representation of this car. Lots of things to do, obviously here. Lots of details, little things that I'm going to sort of work on now, just slowly gluing the parts on and getting it ready for its final reveal. Well, she's all done, and she's looking pretty good. Here, let's take a real close look at it. You know, this is the 1/24th scale Lotus Esprit S1 Little Wet Nellie from the motion picture The Spy Who Loved Me, starring Roger Moore, James Bond. And iconic, the chase scene here. I thought this was very fresh, very clever for its time. And I'm thrilled to be able to put this back in the collection, and a much sharper, smarter version of my previous attempt. So I think it came together really well, and it's got all its bells and whistles on it, and it's looking very, very sharp. Here it is from the overhead camera. You can see I used a little piece of metal to just insert it, but no harm, no foul, because from the side she looks pretty good, and so I'm pretty happy with her. She's quite good. She, you know, from any one of these angles, actually, she looks quite dramatic. And you know what's interesting? You go to these shows and you find kits, and you know, once in a while, this was something I didn't know this subject matter was out there. Fujimi make a couple of spinners too from Blade Runner, which it's in that scale. I have to be honest, I'm not. I don't love it. I'm not a car guy. I'm not a plane guy. So it's a bit of a struggle. This one's got some fit issues, and it's got some other sort of twinky issues as we talked about in this build. But for the most part, you know, cool subject, glad to have it back on the, as I said, back in my collection. And the only other thing I'll say about this is, you know, it's interesting that James Bond never really got its fair share in terms of kits and things of that nature. It's very interesting. You know, we got HAL from 2001, but we never got the gun from the man with the golden gun. We've never gotten some of the gadgets that I thought perhaps, you know, you could put 3 gadgets into a kit the way you do the tricorder, phaser, and communicator from Star Trek. But I guess there just wasn't enough demand. But considering the amount of box office success, you would have thought there would have been more interest in doing this type of thing. But there you go. I'm glad I did it. Thanks for following along on this journey. I do appreciate it. You know, as always, if you like the content, please remember to like and subscribe. But as I wish everyone always, please be well, be safe, build something, because I know you can, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.